I'm Stephen Foskett from Gestalt IT, and we are here at VMware Explore in Las Vegas, catching up with some of the most interesting and innovative companies in the IT space. Now, one of the companies that I have known for quite a while and I'm very familiar with is Infinidat. So I'm very glad to have Eric Herzog from Infinidat joining me today to give you a special preview, well, by the time you see this video, an announcement of some very cool stuff. Welcome.
Stephen, well, thank you. Love to be with Gestalt IT. Thanks again for having us join you.
Yep. Well, I have been a big fan of Infinidat for many years as Mr. Storage, as I've styled myself over the years. Infinidat has a really interesting position in the market because basically you guys are, I guess, the baton carrier for the big, bad storage market. In other words, if you need Tinker Toy storage, look elsewhere, but if you need the biggest, strongest, fastest, toughest storage, Infinidat's kind of where it's at now, right?
Absolutely. Our focus is at the high end. Our primary target market is the global Fortune 2000, but we do have some smaller customers, particularly CSPs, MSPs, and MHPs, because they can't afford the big engineering teams like Microsoft and Amazon do. So they use us to provide that storage foundation for their backup as a service, storage as a service, infrastructure as a service, and they focus on that aspect from their engineering perspective.
And exactly, because it's not just a traditional enterprise that needs big, strong, fast storage. And as you say, a lot of CSPs, well, they need that stuff too. But I imagine that over the years, you guys have transitioned. You've got an all-flash product.
Right.
I imagine that there's a lot of cases where one of those customers might say, you know, I wish Infinidat wasn't quite so big in terms of scale. I wish there was an option. And there are options now, right?
Yeah, so we've announced, or will be announcing on the 20th of September, a couple things that fit in that world. So the first one is what we call our SSA Express software. This basically is software that makes it akin to embedding a 320 terabyte all-flash array inside of a hybrid. So not that big of an all-flash array, a small one. Okay, the second thing we're doing is we're announcing for our all-flash models a scale-up architecture. So traditionally, whether it was hybrid or all-flash, Infinidat only shipped fully loaded 42 rack U configurations. Now we have one with 60% loaded, 80% loaded, and we still have the 100% loaded. So you choose which one you want.
And I think that that's really important because, as I said, I mean, I don't think that this is necessarily going to be something that you'd find in remote offices or something, but some companies have smaller data centers where they need to populate with the same standard high-end, storage that they have in their primary data center. Or I'm really intrigued by this sort of mini array inside the hybrid array concept because I could definitely see situations where, a big enterprise data center, they've got Infinidat hybrid storage, they're perfectly happy with it, but they kind of need, just for one application or for a couple applications, a little bit of high performance all flash that kind of exceeds the hybrid. Is that right?
Absolutely, and in fact, we have the same exact parameters for this, if you will, small all-flash array embedded inside a hybrid. So it comes with all of our cybersecurity stuff. From a performance perspective, we've already publicly announced that our all-flash arrays are as low as 35 microseconds. We've demoed that many times on several videos, which were all done live. And every one of those videos was not done with our gear. It was done with one of our customers' gear. We dialed in and ran workloads and were able to track that from real users out in the field, not from something sitting in Infinidat's lab.
Yeah. And of course, there's been a lot of FUD in the industry about all flash versus hybrid. You guys have I think, carried the flag for hybrid, but of course you also have all flash arrays now too, and that's, I think, an important aspect. And I think you're also, you've got some news on the all flash front as well, right?
Yeah, so in addition to having the scale-up architecture, we're announcing a larger all-flash array. So now our largest all-flash array will be over 6.6 petabytes in a single 42 rack U configuration of effective capacity. So obviously, data reduction technology varies by workloads. Some workloads are very compressible, some are not. So we offer that as well. But from an effective capacity perspective, before you get the data reduction, we'll be at 6.6 petabytes in 42 rack U, which is essentially slightly more than doubling what we have had prior to September 20th.
And how does that compare with the hybrid models?
So the hybrid models scale all the way up to 17 petabytes. And with our InfiniGuard, which is a purpose-built backup appliance, that actually scales up to 85 petabytes, but it's very much targeted for Veeam, Veritas, IBM Spectrum Protect, Commvault, all the backup guys. We then use that as a target. Now, we do have some customers that use our InfiniBox Hybrid as a target device for backup, but our InfiniGuard scales up even bigger to 85 petabytes, whereas our biggest InfiniBox Hybrid is 17 petabytes.
And as you can see from the scale that we're talking about here, these are really big numbers. I mean, this is a lot of storage. You mentioned backup. This is, data protection, I think, is one of the markets that people might not have been as aware of for Infinidat, but I know that you're partnering. You mentioned some really great companies in the data protection space. I know that you've been partnering with these companies, and also the ransomware aspect is really interesting because some of the data protection software has ransomware, but if somehow the ransomware gets around that software, right, it's good to have some protection on the array as well, right?
So that's our InfiniSafe technology. It works on everything. It works on the InfiniBox Hybrid, the InfiniBox SSA, which is the all-flash. It works on the InfiniGuard purpose-built backup appliance. And essentially, it gives you 5 elements. It gives you a immutable snapshot. It gives you a fenced forensic environment. It gives you a logical airbag, could be local, remote, or both. It also gives you incredibly rapid recovery, which we guarantee in writing. So on the InfiniGuard, we will recover data in under 20 minutes. And in fact, we've done several demos with Veeam where we have recovered 20 petabytes. Yes, 20 petabytes, not terabytes or gigabytes, 20 petabytes of Veeam backup data in under 13 minutes, most of the time in the 11 to 12 minute range. So, and that's all guaranteed. And then we just added in May InfiniSafe cyber detection, which allows us to actually scan immutable snaps, files, block workloads such as a volume, okay? Even database levels. You pick what you want to scan, and you can scan it. You pick the interval of what you want to do, and that can be used either for early warning detection system, or clearly if you have a malware or ransomware incident, you need to have a known good copy to recover to. So you can scan to identify a known good copy so that you don't recover something that's got malware and ransomware. Because the malware and ransomware cyber criminals don't run around like King Kong and pound their chest and say, I'm trying to hold you for ransom or I'm going to try to destroy your data. That's not what they do. It's all done surreptitiously. So you could actually be making immutable snapshots of malware or ransomware without noticing it, which is why the cyber detection can help you, A, as an early warning system so you don't do that, or you could deploy it as a way to get a known good copy where you know you're clean and do recovery from that.
And I like the multi-layered approach and the partnership approach as well, because a lot of companies already have a partnership with a company like Veeam, and they trust that for data protection. The fact that these solutions just sort of work together is really powerful, and I'm glad to see that, especially considering that you certainly have a lot of customers as well that trust Infinidat for primary storage. It's nice to have them be able to put the data there.
Well, and in fact, Tuesday of this show, I will be presenting in the Veeam booth a presentation on modern data protection and cyber resilience for end users. Now that, by the way, by the time people see this, will be available right on our website at infinidat.com.
Now, another thing I think that we should call out, so even though we've said that Infinidat is offering I don't want to say scale up because it's almost scale down option now. Even though Infinidat is offering a scaled down version, you've always had on-demand pricing, or at least for a long time, right?
Yes.
So a customer doesn't need to wait for the scale down because they could already buy what they need.
So we have 2 models there. One is a true software as a service. We retain legal right to the technology. We own it. And you pay just like you would pay your monthly power bill. It goes up and it goes down. Our other is our capacity on demand, which is called Elastic. In the Elastic price model, you have a buy down, which is CapEx, and then after that, you add more capacity as you need it. So if you don't need capacity for 6 months, you don't buy anything. Then you do, we turn on. Think about the old days of the mainframe. What did you do? You would turn on extra MIPS. You'd get a mainframe, you'd turn it on. So we have that same model except as a storage model. So either true software as a service, goes up and down like your power bill, or you could do this hybrid model that's part CapEx and part OpEx, which is our Elastic pricing product.
Yeah, and I know that a lot of companies have Elastic pricing and purchase on demand. It's important that you have those too, but it's also important that you have these other options now. Like I said, back to the announcement, the mini virtual, I don't want to say virtual array because it's kind of not that, but the mini all-flash array is such a cool idea. And it's one of those things where you're kind of leveraging the capabilities of the platform to do something new. I love that kind of creativity when companies come up with things like that. The other thing that I want to kind of wrap up here with is the overall positioning of Infinidat in the market. I know that there's a lot of companies making a lot of noise about new and advanced storage technologies. Some of those catch on, some of them don't. Some of those companies get bought by the big guys, some of them don't. It's kind of a risk. I think that, again, if somebody looks at Infinidat, they're going to see a company that's been around for a long time, that has a lot of big name customers. It's kind of a feeling of safety, right?
Yeah, I mean, our concentration again is in the global Fortune 2000, all over the world. We've got large telcos, large healthcare, large manufacturing, very strong in the finance sector. And again, in the CSP market, well, we're certainly not selling to Amazon or Microsoft. At the level below, who doesn't have the engineering capability of Google, Amazon, or Microsoft, they use us as that empowering foundation underneath the software they design for their backup as a service, their platform as a service, infrastructure as a service, or just pure storage as a service. So that gives us a differentiated model. In fact, 31% of our customers are in that CSP kind of telco space, including some of the largest telcos in the world, and then everything else is spread across healthcare, finance, manufacturing. We have a fair amount of government customers all over the world, not just in the United States. So again, buying storage that doesn't fail. We have a 100% availability guarantee. We have a performance guarantee. Obviously, it's slightly different on the hybrid than it is on the all-flash. We size it for, we put everything in writing. So we really stick our money where our mouth is. We don't just say stuff, we put it in writing, and if there's a problem, we're held responsible.
Yeah. And I think that right there is a big differentiator for Infinidat, because again, there are a lot of companies, there's a lot of ideas, and there's a lot of technologies, but there's something to be said for delivering consistently, satisfying customer needs, especially at this very high end. And I have to say too that, again, from the outside as a storage analyst, I look at the market and I feel like, well, frankly, some of the high-end storage competitors have kind of taken their eye off the ball when it comes to storage. Infinidat, that's the only ball. That's your ball.
That's all we do, and we make sure we provide that with our white glove service, which has been cited by several public references, including public references that you can find right on the web, not just from us, but third-party public references, where they say, I've had an Infinibox or an InfiniGuard, I've had it for 2 to 3 years, I've never touched it. Yeah. So that's where customers want to be. They want to make it simple, and let's face it, have you ever met, in all the years you've talked to customers, in all the years I have never ever met a CIO who used to be a storage admin. So you know what? They know they need it, but they hate it, so you need to make it easy for them. Optimize performance, optimize service and support, give them guaranteed SLAs, so then they feel comfortable, because they're really software guys. And there's nothing wrong with that. It's just you got to make your storage fit into their environment. Oracle, SAP, Mongo, Cassandra, all those workloads and applications, that's what you have to optimize around.
Absolutely. And I really appreciate it. Thank you so much for this update on Infinidat. Again, I'm Stephen Foskett from Gestalt IT. We are here at VMware Explore, where we're catching up with some great companies. We're looking forward to swinging by the Veeam booth to see your presentation on the Veeam Infinidat integration. We're also covering all sorts of things from the show. Go to gestaltit.com or YouTube/GestaltIT video to see more. And check out our podcasts as well in your favorite podcast application. Eric, before we go, where can we learn more about Infinidat?
Well, clearly www.infinidat.com. We have a network of global channel partners all over the world, and of course, our own sales team. So just reach out to us. We'll put you in touch with someone, and if you have a favorite partner you want to work with, just let us know and we can work with them too.
Great. Thanks for joining us.